morning, everyone. Paul McMahon from Forex Smart Trade. So glad you could join us this morning. Forex Smart Trade, our goal is to help you become the best version of yourself, and we do that by teaching, helping you become financially independent, by teaching you how to currency trade with our proprietary indicators and best in the business training. We're so confident in our ability to train you and in the indicators that we let you trade with company money. With that, just a couple notes. We are going to be starting a new session in June, a supplementary session, trading session. It will be on Thursdays at 11:30. It will be run by several of the team on Forex Smart Trade. And to gain entry or to be able to participate in that session, you would need to provide a referral for somebody who tries the program as a light. So if you have any friends, when you find something good, it's always nice to share it. So send them over our way. We will get them up and running and let them give it a try themselves and make a determination if currency trading is for them. With that, one other piece of advice is the way to get good at this, because I get a lot of people who ask me. I've been doing it a little under a couple years. The way to get good at it is to just keep practicing. You need to make trades every day, and you need to, when trades go wrong, you need to kind of take a look at them and figure out what you did wrong. Whether that is by keeping a little journal where you have the time and what you were looking at, or you take a screenshot of it. The indicators work, but you need to get you need to be able to read them, and being able to interpret them comes with practice. So the more you practice, the better you'll get. The great thing about currency trading is that you can trade 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. If you haven't seen this, you can go to Market 24H clock, and it has a clock that shows you what the best times are for certain markets. So right now you can see London, Zurich, Frankfurt, Moscow, South Africa are all good times, and we're coming into when New York opens. So you see this little window here of the overlap. At night, you've got Australia, and then Japan comes on. Australia and Japan. So there's always a good time. The indicators work better when there is volume. As you're trading in the morning hours of whatever market you're trading in, they tend to work a little bit better. So with that, let's see what we can find for today. Last thing, they've asked me to start reading the disclaimer. This trade is for educational purposes only. All information is speculative, involves risk. This trade should be examined and taken from a personal evaluation. All attendees agree by watching that any trades he or she takes was of individual influence based on personal evaluation of the market. This webinar's intention is to demonstrate a method that can be used to help make an evaluation of the current market. No past, present, or future incomes have been made or relied upon prior to or during this meeting. All right, so that is done. Like to have a trade routine. And by a trade routine, what I mean is I follow a certain protocol every time I start. First thing I like to do is review what I did yesterday, especially if there were bad trades. So if we're reviewing what we did last week, uh, we found a thick orange 5-pip trade, and we got 5 pips out of it. Again, going back to the timing, I ended up taking this trade in my live account once we got off, but that extra 5 or 6 minutes made the difference because I ended up getting stopped out on my trade. So we took it a couple minutes before the top of the hour. We got our 5 pips. I took it a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes after the top of the hour by the time I got settled and got back to my account, and I ended up getting stopped out. So timing is important when you see the signal. Fundamental analysis, we are technical traders. What that means is our indicators are based on price action. With that price action, it is very good at catching where the turns in the market are going to be, so we can ride those turns. Some people, however, trade based on news. We don't trade based on news, but we'd like to know what the news is. So when we see that there's situations when there's going to be a news item that might impact what we're trading, we can stay away from it because the news is going to impact the trade in a way that we can't predict. So to do that, we take a look at Forex Factory, forexfactory.com, and we look at the calendar. So today, Tuesday, May 12th, they categorize items in terms of yellow, orange, and red. The red items are likely to impact the market. And this morning at 8:30, there are 2 items that will impact the dollar: CPI and core CPI. So we are at 6:30. We will see what trades there are. We may or may not take a 10-point trade, depending on what the signal is, because we're a little too close to this 8:30. But we'll see. We'll do the evaluation and make a determination. We could probably get away with a thick orange line trade and get in and out before we hit that 8:30. And then tonight there's a bunch of news on New Zealand. So that's not going to impact us. We get the whole day before we get there. And then we start our technical analysis. Now, the 2 trades that I focus on here are the trades that we teach in the introductory. They're now supplementing that with some quicker 5-minute trades so that you don't have to wait till the top of the hour. We will continue doing these trades because I principally trade off of this 10-point trade. So let's take a look. So with the 10-point trade, so these are 2 introductory signals that we have. With the indicators, there are well over probably almost a dozen different signals. The more signals you understand, the more opportunities to take a trade. And again, as you become more familiar with how the chart moves, the more opportunities you'll find to have a trade. Now you'll notice when I trade, I limit it to a small handful of pairs that I'm familiar with. On this trade, however, so that we can find a trade, I've opened it up. We're going to look at 18 pairs till we find one. But on my live account, I basically limit it to, the pairs that I'm comfortable with. That's the euro dollar, the pound dollar, sometimes the US Canadian, and I've been trading the Australian yen based on the recommendation of somebody. I don't really like that guy that much, so I'm going to probably stop trading him just because I still haven't quite figured him out entirely. So with that, let's go and take a look and see what we have. We will start looking for the 10-point trade. With the 10-point trade, now each of the signals are a little different. So what I'm doing here is going to be different than what I do in the thick orange line trade. So with the 10-point trade, I start with the majors and minors, this middle chart, and I'm looking to see if they're overbought. Overbought is above the blue line, or oversold, which is below the red line. And then if they're overbought, I want all the lines pointed down. On euro dollar, I don't have that. The majors are kind of pointing down, but not that steep. The minors are still going up. Pound dollar, we're in the middle of the channel, so that's no good. Australian US dollar, I am overbought, but everybody's still pointed up, so no opportunity there. Pound or dollar Swiss franc, I am oversold. We're below the red line. My majors are pointed up. My minors are pointed down. I want everybody pointed up, so I'm going to pass here. Dollar yen, we are in the middle of the channel and we're more than halfway. If we were a little less than halfway, I might consider this, but we're clearly beyond the halfway mark, so we're going to pass. And then dollar Canadian, we're oversold. The minors are starting to come up. Oh, excuse me, the majors are starting to come up. Minors are coming down, so nothing there. I want everybody pointed up, and I want the double cross here, where green's crossing over and gray's crossing over. So I don't have that. So let's go to the next set. So here is another pair of 6. None of these have, well, only one of them has the dollar in it. Most of these are non-US dollar pairs. So we might find on this first chart, these are all dollar pairs. So the dollar's driving what's going on for a lot of these. So if you don't have a trade on one, the likelihood is you're not going to have a trade on any of them unless there's news on that other pair. So so there's nothing there. Now again, I am starting with a 60-minute chart. 60-minute chart on all of these. If I find the signal, what's going to happen is then I'm going to go and look at a more detailed chart to see if I like the trade. But first step is to see that I see the signal. So pound or euro pound, middle of the channel. Pound yen, we're overbought, but mixed signal. Majors are coming down, minors are going up. Euro Canadian, oversold, but they haven't turned yet. Australian New Zealand dollar, overbought. My majors are coming down, my minors are going sideways. So this is probably the closest thing that we've had, but I don't like him enough. I'd like to see the minors pointing down too. New Zealand, US dollar, overbought, pointing up. And then Australian euro, Australian dollar, oversold and pointing down. All right, so let's go to our third pair of 18. So Australian Canadian dollar, overbought, pointing up. Swiss franc yen, overbought. I've got the pressure coming down. I got everybody pointed down. The minors have kind of already run through the channel, but the majors are up here. This guy is okay. The only thing I don't like about this trade is we've got this kink in the green line. I'd rather have it straight without the kink. So let's consider this. We'll do our analysis and see what comes out. So if I get all 3 points here, and I do by the definition. I'm going to go to my TNTs, and now I want to count how many lines are moving in the right direction. So my thick orange line is going down, that means down. My thin orange line is going down, that means down. My thick blue is going up. When blue goes up, that means down. Dotted blue is going down, that means up. So I got 3 of the 4 telling me that down is the move. I need a minimum of 3 out of 4. So I've got 3 points here, I've got 3 points here. Then I am looking for a point from the pressure. I get a point from the pressure for either the lines going down or red on top, and we're just about crossing, but we don't have enough commitment there, in my opinion. It's not crossed over enough. So I'm going to pass on this. Had I gotten this, I would have opened up the CHF Swiss franc yen full chart to do a little bit more detailed analysis. But let's keep going and seeing what we've got here. Euro yen. I'm overbought. I'm coming down. Minors have already gone through the channel. Majors are just starting to enter the channel. I like this a little bit better than this because I don't have the kink in the line. So that's an improvement here. So we've got 3 points. If I go up to the TNTs, thick orange is coming down, thin orange is coming down, thick blue is going up, so 3 points here. And we've got almost an identical pressure where the lines have intersected, but to me they haven't quite crossed yet. If the red was clearly on top, I would go and do my more detailed analysis. But we're not there. Let's keep going and see what else we have. Maybe we'll come back to this. Pound Australian dollar, we're oversold but going down. New Zealand CHF, overbought but going up. And Canadian dollar CHF, overbought and not going down. So we really didn't find anything. So say we go back here to this euro yen, and I want to take a look at the full chart just to get a little better sense, even though I'm not convinced that this guy is crossed over. In fact, this guy seems a little bit less than this guy. But let's go take a look at that. So I don't think I've traded that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take an existing chart, and I'm going to convert it to a euro yen chart. So to do that, I right click, go to chart settings, and then I'm going to go to symbol and click find, and then I'm going to go to euro yen, click OK, click apply, click OK, file, save as, and I'm just going to change the name. Euro yen, that way I don't have to make it every time. Oops, and this chart wasn't properly linked because he's still Australian yen. Let me link him. All right, now we'll resave him. Hey, I noticed something yesterday on somebody's chart. I want you, when you get a chance, I want you to right click, go to chart settings, and I want you to make sure this number here is at 21. Both of these numbers are at 21, not 22. When we're in daylight savings time, this number needs to be at 21, and we're in daylight savings time. So again, to check it, you're going to just right click, go to chart settings, and right in the middle it has start time and end time. It should be at 21. If it's not, change it and then save it after you've done that. So we had the beginning of the signal. In fact, the signal is actually kind of weakened as we've just looked at it. The miners have jumped up before a minute ago when we were looking at it. The miners were going down. Now the miners are going sideways, and this guy is going sideways. So that clearly makes it so I don't have a good trade. I don't want to take this trade no matter what this says. But the first thing I would do is I would do my support and resistance on here. But as we don't have a trade, as we only have 9 minutes left, let's see if we have a thick orange line trade. So today we didn't see a 10-point trade this morning. Thick orange line trade, I start with the TNTs, and I am looking at what this number is. This number is the scale on the thick orange line. When the thick orange line is as high as it can go, it is at 0. When it is as low as it can go, it is at minus 100. If it is at 0, it is telling us we're saying that the price is maxed out, so that's a good opportunity for a sell. When it is at minus 100, we believe the price is bottomed out, and that is a good opportunity for a buy. But again, the trick to being good at this is having that high consistency weight, being able to win 8 or 9 out of 10 of your trades. And to get that, I don't want to just rely on one piece of information. I want multiple pieces of information telling me that there's a good trade there. So the way I'm going to do that is if I see a minus 100 here, I want to look and see that all 4 of these lines are below the oversold line, so that they're down here, they're below it. So what the TNTs are measuring are different than what the majors and minors are measuring. So when these lines are down here, that supports that this is at the bottom. That's a good trade. Some traders will actually wait till the clock switches. Right now we've got 6 minutes left in the hour till the clock switches to a new candle, and they'll want to see this number move by 10. So it'll go from minus 100 to 90. I found good success. If I've got this number and these in the right places, that's a good trade. So what I'm going to do is I scroll and I look through these numbers right at the top of the hour. Minus 50 isn't close to 0 or minus 100. I want it to be at 0 or minus 100 or within 10 points of either end. So 50, no. 47, no. 39, no. 50, no. Minus 100 is yes. I've got the first part of the signal. Second part, though, I don't have. I only have the minors below the red line, so I don't have enough. Minus 62, nothing there. Minus 47, no. Minus 50 on the Australian yen, no. Minus 92 with Euro Canadian, that is within 10, so that's a yes. All 4 lines below, that is a yes. This is a buy signal. I want to take this at the top of the hour when there's less than 10 minutes on the chart. There is less than 10 minutes left, so let's go ahead and take this as a trade. We just kind of lost him a little bit. Minus 90. All right, let's go ahead and still take it. So I'm going to open up my chart. I need to open the pair that I'm looking at, which is Euro Canadian, this guy. So to open a new chart, I go to File, New Chart, and I look for it, Euro Canadian. I don't see it in this group, so I'm going to go down to this group. I don't see it in this group. Euro pound, that's not it. And I'm going to go down to this third group. Euro Canadian is right here. So I'm going to open the Euro Canadian. I don't like this type of chart, so I've got some templates I've made. So I'm just going to open up one of the templates so that I've got traditional candlesticks. So we have a buy signal. I am going to then, on this second row here, I'm going to click New Order. Oops, over here. Let's bring them over here. I'm going to check my symbol, make sure I have it right. Then I'm going to check my volume. Now, this is a demo account. The demo account has $8,400 in it. To figure out how much I can trade based on an 8,400 account, I am going to move my decimal place over 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I can take a lot size of up to 0.84 and not hurt my margin. 0.84. I can have 2 open trades at 0.84 and be within our kind of guidelines. So we are going to click, change my volume. I'm going to click buy. So I'm going to do the trade in 2 steps. The first step is buy or sell. When I've done that buy, it records it under the chart here, down here. Tells me what I did. It gives it an order number, when I did it, what I did, buy, size, and the symbol. And the price I got in at. But you see this SL, which stands for stop loss, and this TP, which stands for take profit, are zeroed out. So I want to tell the broker when I want him to close the trade, at what profit, and if it goes the wrong way, when to close the trade on a loss. So to do that, I right-click anywhere along this line and go to Modify. I can get the program to automatically figure out for me what the math is. So this trade is always good for 5 pips. Very simple. If I've got the signal, it's good for 5 pips. We've tested it. We know it works. So if I put 5 in here, it's asking for how much you want in points. So to convert pips to points, I just add an extra 0. So I go from 5 to 50. I click Copy As. It does the math for me and puts it down here. And for a stop loss, for now, we're going to use 4 times what our take profit is. So if I'm going for 50 points, I want a stop loss of 200 points. Click the red, it copies it. Now, since we're going for such a small amount, 5 pips, I want to just make sure I get my full 5 pips. So I'm going to look at what the price I got in at. I got it in at 0.5155. Right down here. So if I add 5 to the 55, because my pip column is the 4th column over, or the 2nd column from the far right, it's this 5. So if I add 5 to the 55, I'm going to go to 60. So I am going to change this to 602. So I got a full 5 pips. I click Modify, and it drops everything in, and I can see it on my screen. My take profit line, my stop loss line, and then we will let it do its thing. If you haven't done that yet, hustle. We've got about a minute before the clock changes, and then we'll see what happens when the clock changes. This should close. I would expect it to close within the hour. Let's see if we've got any questions while we're waiting. The 21 on the clock time doesn't matter what time zone you're in. It should just always be 21 if it's daylight savings time. On the thick orange line trade, it's always before the top of the hour. On the 10-point trade, if I'm trading off of a 60-minute chart and I'm more than halfway into the half hour, I will consider the trade, because then I'm going to look at the full chart. I'm going to look at the 5 minutes, the 30 minutes, the 2 hour, the 4 hour. So I'm just using that as the setup that the move is coming, and then I look at the more detailed charts to get that. And we've gone into the top of the hour. Let's take a look back at our green chart. So we went from, if I click this arrow here, I can go back one, I can go right back to the top of the hour. So I went from 86, so we had lost a little bit, it wasn't quite 90. And then moving up, it jumped almost 40 points to minus 41. So we got more than the 10. This is actually almost a 10-point trade, but it's the top of the hour, so it's too early to take it. We've got everybody pointing up. The 2 orange lines are going up. Dotted blue is coming down. But we've got down pressure, so I guess we don't quite have it here. This guy should close in just a minute. Any other questions? All right, great. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, if you have friends or family, get them to us, get them into trading. It's a great thing to be doing during coronavirus when you're stuck at home and you have extra time. Learn the skill. As you said, we're starting a new trade next month that you will, it's a private trade only, so in order to get into it, you need to provide a referral. If you provide a referral between now and the end of May, we will give you a $25 gift card to Amazon. Thanks so much. Again, if you have any questions, concerns, send me a text, give me a call, and we'll get you answered. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.